Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Today I want to take you through the process that I used to record my Fugue number 5 in D major. And for this one, I used my Circuit Mono Station, which you can see over here in the video. And I specifically want to look at how I connected the hardware up to AUM and connected it through Fugue Machine. I had a few questions about that, so I wanted to address that. I'm not going to get too heavy into all the details for what I used for this video, but I do at least want to show the hardware off a little bit, which is why I have the other camera set up so that you can see my actual desk here, which for the time being is a piece of MDF board sitting on top of a keyboard stand because I just moved into my new space and I don't have all the fancy stuff. Also, thanks to Imagine Hobbies and Games in Sherwood, Arkansas for the lovely playmat that I'm using for a mouse pad for the time being. So again, I am using the mouse so you can see the pointers, see where I'm clicking on the screen and how everything's going. So first off, let's talk about routing a little bit, the way that I have my hardware set up. So you can see up here, I have my Tascam 4x4 and I have my microphone run into channel 1. And then I have channel 2 is coming from the 1/4 inch out of the Novation Circuit Mono Station. If you're not familiar with the Circuit Mono Station, it's basically they took the Base Station 2 synthesizer and attached the circuit sequencer to it. So it's a really cool standalone device. You can do a lot of really neat stuff with it on its own. The sequencer is amazing, but I like to be able to use it as a hardware synth tied to my iPad for now because I can do some interesting things from that. So I have the Tascam 4x4 run via USB into a USB hub. I also have this yellow cord is coming out of the Circuit Mono Station connected to the USB as well, and that's where the MIDI routing is coming from there. This is a powered hub. I have under here a power brick that I have everything plugged into, and then of course that is just running into the iPad. And as you can see, everything connects right up under USB 2 hardware input. There you can see the Tascam 4x4, and this is connected to 2. If I wanted to do a stereo channel, I could plug one device into 1 and 2 for stereo, and then 1 into 3 and 4 for stereo, but for the time being, I don't need it to be stereo. So, and I have my mic plugged in over here, which is where you're getting the audio recording from. Now, I also tend to run a mix bus so that I can adjust the volume of the background noise, kind of duck it out manually if I need to. And it also makes it easier for recording into one track. Otherwise, you have to record each individual track in AUM, and that can be kind of a pain. So, how do I tell AUM how to control the Circuit Mono Station? Well, it's really handy if you click into your USB matrix MIDI routing thing here. Everything shows up as it should. When you have an instance of Fugue Machine open, you have a channel for all playheads, and then you have a channel for each individual playhead. And if we look down here, you can actually see all of my inputs. I've got my Tascam down here. It does have MIDI in and out, so I could run MIDI DIN through it if I needed to. I'm using Animoog for this, so I've got things going through Interapp Audio to the Animoog. I was using MiRack earlier, so I've got that virtual input set up, and Muckraker as well. But importantly, right here, I've got the Circuit Mono Station. So as you can see, I've got Fugue Machine's playheads 1 and 2 run into the Circuit Mono Station, which is a good place to start. That gives me the basic sound that I need. What I also need to do, though, is if I'm going to run 2 playheads into the same hardware, I need to be able to split it up into different channels. The Circuit Mono Station has 2, it's paraphonic, so it has 2 oscillators, but they do share the same envelope, the same filter and distortions and all of that stuff. So I've got it into paraphonic mode so that oscillator 2 will trigger the envelope on its own because it sounds better whenever I come in there. And I need to be able to send playhead 2 specifically into oscillator 2. So I looked in the manual and I discovered that oscillator 2 receives a signal from MIDI channel 2. So in Fugue Machine, you can open it up and click on the settings tab here. And in this case, I need to be in the key of D for this one. And then if I go down here to settings, I can specifically tell playhead 1 to go to MIDI channel 1, and then playhead 2 to go to MIDI channel 2. I left playheads 3 and 4 on MIDI channel 1 because I don't have those being sent to the Monostation anyway, so it didn't really matter. So now playhead 1 is going to send only to oscillator 1, and playhead 2 is going to send only to oscillator 2. That way I can keep those kind of separate, even though they are running from the same synthesizer through the same distortion, through the same filter and everything. So it gives it a really interesting sound once I get everything going, I think. For the other channels, which I'm probably not even going to mess with for this video, I've got Animoog running in Interap Audio, and I don't even think that's the right preset for there. I didn't go back and change it before I started recording. And then I have the Spectrum Synth Resonator for playhead 4. For drums, I have the Axon 2, which I'm just a huge fan of, doing this isometric Q beat over here, if you want to hear what that sounds like real quick. There's a preview of what the synth sounds like. So that gives kind of a cool polyrhythmic vibe to it. Okay, so that's all the routing stuff. So now whenever I hit play and I start on playhead 1, which I usually have default to start as soon as the thing goes anyway, you'll see that the circuit comes to life. And I've got that ducked back a little bit so that you can hear me talking over the top of it, but it's got a pretty great sound on its own. And I can modulate, play with the filter a little bit if I want to. Go over to distortion 3, whatever overdrive and resonances I want. So I do have the sub channel in, so you get the lower voice as well. But for now, I just have oscillator 1 and the sub turned up. So then when I'm ready, turn up oscillator 2. And you can hear when it adds in there, we're still getting oscillator 1, but oscillator 2 is also doing its own thing. And for the moment, I have oscillator 2 bypassed, so it's coming through, it's skipping the filter completely. But if I turn that off, and play around with the sound a little bit there, you can hear it starts to ring through on its own. And of course I can adjust whatever I want to. If I want the LFO to mess with the filter, and I also like to bring in the ring, so they are ringing against each other. And since I have them set as a pulse, maybe we can have the envelope do a little pulse width modulation. bring in a extra noise I can. So when everything gets going correctly, it's got a really nice sound to it. I'll bring in the resonator so you can hear how lovely that is. I do love the resonator. You can really play around with that and get some funky sounds, but I'm not going to worry about that for today. So basically that's it. Patching the correct MIDI channel into the Circuit Mono Station and then sending your routing into the Circle Mono Station does everything that you need it to do. I hope you enjoyed this little quick walkthrough of how I do things on this end, and hit me up if you have any other questions about my setup, and I'll try to answer them as efficiently and quickly as I can. And I do plan on talking a little bit about Axon 2 in a future video, showing how I use LFOs to control different effects and all of that good stuff. So again, if you have any questions or if you want me to check out a specific app, please leave a comment down below or shoot me a message on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook at Logan Jacob Electronic Music. You can find me on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Logan Jacob, loganjacob.bandcamp.com if you want to purchase any of my music. And then, of course, all of my YouTube content as well. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.